Hey guys, just quickly, because this helped with my last video, the YouTube algorithm tanked the channel recently, so for the next couple videos, I'm just gonna ask you, my regulars, to consider liking the video and leaving a comment, as it really helps, and it tells YouTube to push these videos out to more people and makes the algorithm not betray me again. Betray being the key word, as today we're looking at the topic of Soulsborne Betrayals. Whether it's betrayals made against your player character, betrayals your player character made against others, or betrayals that help to shape the entire narrative, we have a wide array to choose from. My only note here is I won't be including patches in this list, as we already did a dedicated video on all of his appearances earlier this year. You may also be noticing my voice is a bit fucked up. I am sick today, but I need to record this regardless, so I apologize in advance. And if you are watching this on the day it comes out, it's my birthday today! I'm officially 28 years old, so hit me up with those happy birthday messages in the comments, I would really appreciate it. Again, I'm Billy S, and these are 7 of the most brutal betrayals in all of Soulsborne. For our first 2 entries, we're going to visit Dark Souls, a game where you're a simple undead trying to find your purpose in a land that has long since fallen to ruin. You might wonder, how can people betray you in this game? Well, for our player, that comes in the form of the various NPCs we discover along our journey. A majority of our cast are friendly and kind. Take Solera Vestora, who seeks his own son and engages in jolly cooperation. Or the various magic vendors like Griggs, Big Hat Logan, and so on who populate Firelink Shrine. Yet of all the NPCs, there is one who remains an infamous thorn in the side of players, Lautrec of Carim. Found within a hidden cell that can only be opened with a key found in the Undead Parish basement, Lautrec is a golden-clad knight who will move to Firelink Shrine once you finish the area. Now immediately the red flags are there, this man was locked up, and to put it bluntly, his voice is dripping with a sense of betrayal. You can tell the intentions of this man aren't pure, but without evidence there's no reason to prove otherwise. He sets up shop opposite the Firelink Firekeeper, where he'll remain unless you decide to kick him off the cliff for his gear. He does have a wonderful accessory called the Ring of Favor after all. Once you ring both bells of awakening, however, returning to Firelink Shrine, you will find the bonfire no longer lit, the Firekeeper having been slain in her cell and Lautrec nowhere to be found. He commits the ultimate betrayal in Dark Souls by killing the one NPC who is vital towards your most important bonfire actually functioning. Without the Firekeeper, Firelink is inactive and unable to be rested at, and that means you have to go out of your way to find Lautrec and retrieve the Firekeeper's soul to bring her back. You discover him by invading his world in Anor Londo, where he and his compatriots will attempt to kill you in retaliation. It's not like nobody saw this betrayal coming, we all did, and it helps to teach the player about invasion mechanics from the perspective of the invader, but it's the impact this betrayal has on players that hits hard. Imagine you're a new player following the normal route of the game, you've just escaped the hells of Blighttown with your second bell rung, you arrive at Firelink and your sanctuary is just gone. At that point, it's personal. Any player will agree. For the other Dark Souls entry, I've decided to focus on an entirely lore-based betrayal, perhaps the most famous of all, and the reason why things are the way they currently are, Seath the Scaleless choosing to betray the ancient dragons for a spot on Gwyn's council. It's not clear whether Gwyn, the Witch of Izalith, and Gravelord Nito would have won the war against the dragons without his help, but it cannot be denied that Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and his knowledge of his species was a great help in culling the rest of the population. This set off a ripple effect of bringing about the Age of Fire, where the Lord Soul Holders resided over all of Lordran and beyond. Humanity came about, only to then be cursed with the Dark Sign, consigned to become hollows by World's End. Seath's betrayal got him into Gwyn's court, where he became the Duke of Anor Londo, creating an archive where he performed twisted experiments in his desire for everlasting life, a way to create those immortal scales that his brethren once had, but by using the crystals from the caverns below. Theorized to have had a brief tryst with Guinevere, Priscilla came into the world, thrown into a painting and left to her quiet solitude. The ripple effect of Seath choosing to betray his kind continues on throughout the game and the franchise, and while it's not relevant to your player character or your journey through Dark Souls, it's hard to deny that if we're talking about betrayals in Soulsborne, we can't just ignore a character who is defined by his betrayal and the boons that followed. For the next two entries, we're going to focus on characters who chose to play the long game. Betrayals that were cooking in the background, waiting for the right moment to strike so they could obtain their true goal. And we'll start in Elden Ring, with the betrayal of Sir Gideon Ofnir, the all-betraying! Not the all-knowing, because I'd say all of his relationships and goals are more centered around the concept of burning bridges with everyone he meets once their use runs out. He introduces himself to you as the de facto leader of the Round Table Hold, a veteran in the game who wants to help you find the various great runes throughout the lands between, and he's a solid help, giving you pointers on their locations as you go. Only every now and then, you get the sense that all isn't as it seems. When you find the Albinauric village in Liurnia, you meet with Nefeli Lu, who is there at the behest of Gideon, her adoptive father. He's ordered the slaughter of the people here, searching for something of import. After finding Albus and retrieving the Halig Tree Medallion half, Ensha will then invade you at the Round Table Hold and you have to kill him to return to the hub. Gideon obviously sent him after you, but will play it off. Oh no, you hang on to the medallion, you've earned it. Oh, my adoptive daughter? Fuck her, she's not my daughter anymore, she wouldn't do what I wanted. Oh, you've discovered more great runes, tell me more about them and the spells that your foes used. Gideon realizes that our Tarnished is powerful enough to fell the Shardbearers, allowing us to roam as we please while he spies on us with his all-knowing skills. And yet, at the end of the game, Gideon finally turns on us, blocking our path towards the Erd Tree in the Ashen capital. His pursuit of knowledge, which is his primary motivation, led him to a truth he believes as fact, that Marika wants the Tarnished to try and fail for all eternity. In reality, he's misinterpreted her actions, but that does put us against him, where he uses all the spells of the Shardbearers you've defeated to bring all to bear. By this point in the game, I was just glad to be done with him. He caused the slaughter of the Albinauric village, he disowned his daughter, he manipulated the Tarnished for his own selfish goals, and in the end, he hypocritically turns his back on becoming Elden Lord, leaving the path of the Tarnished behind, and that frustrates me the most. He betrays everyone and everything, and for that he deserves oblivion. Or I misunderstood his plot and he has valid reason to feel the way he does. Elden Ring lore is very complicated, man. While our previous entry had us looking at a fairly shady leader figure, this next entry will hit a lot closer to home. During the opening cutscene of Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, we see the origin of our shinobi, Wolf. He is a child on the battlefield who is taken in by Great Shinobi Owl. This large, imposing figure holds a sword to our face, makes us bleed, leaves us with a scar, but our determination and nerves of steel ensure that he takes us with him, training us to become a shinobi of great renown. He becomes our father, our mentor, and someone we trust implicitly. Why wouldn't we? Early on in the game, we discover the Hirata estate memory, where midway through, we find Owl mortally wounded in the fires of the courtyard. With his dying breath, he urges us to protect Kuro and seek him in the inner sanctum. When we arrive, we're then faced with Lady Butterfly, a shinobi of great renown, who trained us as a child, hired in our youth by Owl. They have a connection, and that's where you should realize, that's a bit odd. Even more so when after winning the fight, you are suddenly impaled from behind by a large sword and backstabbed. Kuro's only way to save you is to give you the blood of the divine heir, which is what allows you to revive in the first place. But we only find this out during the events of the main game, as we avoid death all that time. Later on, we return to Ashina Castle, now under siege, only to discover our father is alive. He reveals himself to have survived his ordeal, and orders us to hand over Kuro, abandoning our lord. We must keep to the iron code of the shinobi, he says. But if we refuse, Al tries to kill us. It's revealed that all he wants is the power of Kuro for himself. This was a long game ploy to get Kuro to trust us implicitly so that we could get the pieces in place for this exact moment. But Al never counted on our skill and growth as a shinobi, as instead, we slay him. but answers are still required. If we find the way to the Hirata Estate revisit, the memory changes, and instead of Kuro and Lady Butterfly, we find Owl in the boss arena. The reveal being that he was the one who stabbed us in the back way back when, forcing Kuro's hand and making us functionally immortal. Defeating him here means beating Owl in his prime, where his pride for us truly shows in his final moments. It's fucked up, but Shinobis are duplicitous by nature. Game ultimately respects game. It's funny, Owl betrays us, but no matter the choice we make, we always end up overpowering him. Even in the Shura ending, we slay him in the final cutscene to announce our descent into madness. He planned for so long, but could never account for the power of his dear adopted son. Moving over to Bloodborne, I'd say the ending of this game is one massive betrayal, and I'll try to explain it in a way that makes sense. See, the basic ending is that Gehrman offers to free you from the dream. You accept, he kills you, you awaken in Yharnam, no longer able to dream, now on your last life. This is what happens if you go along with what you're being told. However, you can choose to remain in the dream. Perhaps you've enjoyed the hunt or the immortality. Whatever the case, it's always up to the hunter's assistant to clean up any messes. Gehrman takes your refusal to leave the dream as a power play. You are betraying this man's trust and choosing to fight him instead. What's interesting here is that this action can be spun in multiple directions. Sure, you don't want to leave the dream, and you might enjoy the power you've earned across your time in Yharnam, which certainly would lead to betraying Gehrman, but it's also heavily implied that Gehrman himself wants to leave the dream, yet cannot. Killing him is the only way to free him from this nightmare he's been implanted in for so long, and while he cannot kill himself, forced to fight you to the best of his ability, if you overcome him, you free him from this mortal coil. Only this leads to the ending where the Moon Presence makes you the new hunter's assistant. Well, I didn't want that. Sure, the Moon Presence gave us the power to be in this dream and created everything within it, but what if we could betray that benefactor? 3/3 of an umbilical cord must be consumed. Doing so will grant you immunity from the Moon Presence's power, allowing you to battle him for control of the dream. And when he falls, you ascend. You abandon everyone in the realm of Yharnam that you met on your journey so you can become a great one yourself. You've seen too much, delved too deeply. There was no way to go back to what it was like before. You killed 2 creatures to get exactly what you wanted. There's no way to spin this final ending in an altruistic way. You betrayed Gehrman's trust and overthrew his master, and you could say you'll be a better great one, a benevolent god, but we all know that won't be the case. We'll be just as flawed as the rest of them. But we have a doll to look after us as we try and grow. That's fun. There are other more explicit betrayals in this game, some of which I can think of, and if you want me to talk about more, then like this video and parry that subscribe button, and I'll do a commenter follow-up edition. Now, the last 2 entries on this list are going to focus purely on the player and how we are the ones instigating the betrayals. But unlike the previous entry, this time we're actively betraying people that we are supposed to like. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree introduces a host of NPC characters for you to meet who are all drawn to the Lands of Shadow by Miquella's design. Needle Knight Leda leads their band, assuming that you were also drawn here by kindly Miquella. We never correct her on this, and that is important. A little white lie gets us into her crew, where we meet Ansbach, a follower of Mohg, Freya, a follower of Radahn, Tiolier, a Guy Fale follower of Saint Trina, Mor, a big man with a big heart, the Horn Scent, a native with a thirst for vengeance, and Dryleaf Dane, a cool monk. As you progress through the DLC, you're able to complete these characters' questlines, with the results affecting the endgame, because after climbing to the top of Enir Elim, you are greeted by Leda in the center of a sandy chamber. She realizes after all this time that you were never led by Miquella. You lied to her, never told her that the Erdtree was what was leading you along all this time. And she is pissed. Leda takes betrayal very seriously, especially after Miquella's great room shattered and all the NPCs gained their senses back. She remains wholly dedicated to Miquella, and anyone who isn't, well, they're a dead man. The final battle with her in Enir Elim is a perfect example of what our betrayal of her was leading up to, a battle between two factions, those who seek to keep Miquella in power and those who seek to destroy him before he can become a god. This was a betrayal we couldn't avoid. Leda was always going to eventually find out and come for us. She was always going to feel the sting of betrayal, and yet this is an instance where we are clearly in the right. Miquella, despite having good intentions, would not be a benevolent god. He would simply steal away people's will to fight back, make them agreeable husks of their former selves. And if that's what Leda wants, then I'll betray her band every day to stop it. And maybe not finish Freya's mission so she can live. That sounds nice. Lastly, let's look at the most obvious betrayal in the series by the player. We're going to Dark Souls 3 as we talk about the alternate endings. In the late game, you can come across the Dark Firelink Shrine found in the Untended Graves, and you have to defeat Champion Gundyr to access it. Here, you can find the Eyes of the Firekeeper, which you can give to the Firekeeper in the regular Firelink Shrine to open her eyes. This grants her knowledge, and allows her to see the truth of what would happen if we go through with the regular ending. Instead, the Firekeeper wishes to betray everything they stand for, so she might absorb the first flame into herself, and thus bring about the Age of Dark. I guess the implication is that the Age of Dark isn't actually that bad, or that it needs to happen so that a new Age of Fire can eventually re-emerge. The Souls series is cyclical in nature, and the Ages of Fire and Dark churn against each other endlessly. This is a betrayal of what the Firekeepers stood for, and we actively make it happen by giving her those eyes and abusing the fact that she is subservient to our cause. But what happens if we take that one step further? We instead hit the Firekeeper in those last moments before darkness falls. Now we're the ones with the first flame, and the Firekeeper lays dead at our feet. We take the fire within ourselves and consume it, not like the linking of the fire ending, but more like how we consume a soul or an ember. It empowers us for a moment, and the implication of this ending is that us, unkindled Ashe, gave in to our base urges to seek the most powerful of embers. This betrayal stings because you don't get an achievement for it. You don't get a happy ending for it. It's instant gratification, like when you use an ember in-game. But eventually that power will wane for you and you'll be stuck all over again. The End of Fire endings deserve to be here, and if you don't believe me, recall that Firelink Shrine's music changes to a track called Secret Betrayal once the Eyes of the Firekeeper are given. Bit blatant, no? And that's my list. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know some betrayals down below that you think we should include in a future follow-up video. I want to give a massive shout out to my YouTube channel members for supporting me for another month. You guys are amazing. $4.99. You get early access to certain videos, get a shout out in the description at the end of videos too. You get the Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 Soul Level 1 runs. It's a good place to be. If you want to follow me, I have social medias. I've got Blue Sky, I've got Discord, I've got Twitch, but you will mostly find me here streaming on YouTube once or twice a week. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Adios.